To the end of this question, I now call upon the Senator for Kisumu County, Senator Professor Tom Ojienda, to take up and ask the question he had brought, question number 040.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 040 addressed to the Prime Cabinet Secretary and Cabinet Secretary for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs is in 4 parts. Madam Speaker, could the Cabinet Secretary outline the obligations of the government to Kenyans in the diaspora who face arrest, detention, and deportation, and highlight any diplomatic agreements entered into with other countries on the applicable protocols? But B, what protocols has the government of Kenya established for readmitting deportees into the country? And could the Cabinet Secretary provide a list of Kenyans deported back to the country since 2010, stating reasons for each case where a deportee was refused admission? Thirdly, how does the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs handle complaints and reports of human rights violations against Kenyans in the diaspora before, in the course of, and after detention and deportation? And could the Cabinet Secretary disclose the number of Kenyans who have died in detention, and also provide details of all court cases initiated by Kenyans regarding such? Lastly, what measures has the government put in place to safeguard dependents and property left behind by deportees? And could the CS also explain the initiatives taken by the government to facilitate the integration process for the deportees? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Prime Cabinet Secretary.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The first aspect is I would like to inform the House that consular officers at our missions abroad normally visit Kenyans in distress in the host countries, such as those in hospitals, detention centers, or prisons. They offer assistance that includes issuance of emergency travel documents to Kenyans in the diaspora at home who may be in distress and want to voluntarily return. And this is in line with the 1963 Vienna Convention on Consular Relations that provides for general functions of a consulate, which includes protecting the interests of its nationals, both individuals and bodies corporate, within the limits permitted by international law. The consular functions listed in Article 5 include issuing passports and travel documents to nationals of the sending state and assistance in succession matters. Further, Madam Speaker, Article 36 of the Convention confers the following rights to a consular officer: right to receive information regarding the arrest of nationals of sending states, the right to communicate with the arrested person and vice versa, that of the arrested national to communicate with the officials of the sending state, in this case our mission staff. There is also the right to visit the national of the sending state if in custody or detention to arrange for legal representation. And D, there is the right to respect the wish of the arrested national, including not to take any action expressly or on behalf of the national. However, these rights can only be exercised in conformity with the laws and regulations of the receiving state. I also wish to state that the Kenya Citizenship and Immigration Act, Cap 170 of the laws of Kenya, provides for issuance of emergency travel documents for Kenyans facing deportation and sets out conditions when someone can be denied entry. Madam Speaker, I would want to point out that so far, Kenya has entered into an agreement with South Africa regarding the return of nationals, refused entry and illegal entrance, which was signed on 23rd November 2022. Under this agreement, it is the responsibility of each country to verify the nationality of the deportees and, where necessary, grant them necessary travel documents. The agreement is, however, subject to the respective domestic laws and international instruments, including the 1969 OAU Convention governing specific problems of refugees in Africa. With regard to protocols readmitting deportees, the Citizenship and Immigration Act sets out the criteria or protocol for admission of such persons into the country. This includes the issuance of travel documents, verification of identity, confirmation of citizenship, right of entry and residence, among others. To this end, immigration officers along the points of entry and exit usually confirm that the person being returned is a Kenyan national before admitting him or her into the country. With regard to the second part of the question, requesting that I provide a list of Kenyans deported back to the country since 2010, stating reasons for each case where deportees were refused, I state as follows. The State Department of Immigration and Citizen Services has informed that the following number of Kenyans were returned on various grounds since the year 2022. We were not able to have information dating back to 2010. So we are able to present what we were able to get, and hopefully we can get the rest later. In 2022, there were 186 deportees. In 2023, there were 378. In 2024, there are 166. So a total of 730 deportees are on record since 2022 to date. Madam Speaker, we wish to state that, again, we will need guidance because as much as they are deportees, they have their rights, and to what extent can we disclose the reasons of each individual without breaching certain rights of these particular individuals? So maybe with the guidance of the chair, that is another area that one can seek guidance. But we have given the data of those who were deported. The third aspect is how does the Ministry of Foreign Affairs handle complaints and reports of human rights? In this regard, I wish to state that Kenya recognizes the sovereign right of any nation over their territory, and in managing their internal affairs, including admission and stay of persons in their territories, it is the duty of every Kenyan, therefore, to obey the laws of the receiving country. The protection of human rights is governed by the international human rights laws, which include the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights, and the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, and the International Convention against torture and inhuman, cruel, or degrading punishment, among others. The exercise of powers over nationals of another state thus should be within the confines of international law. The ministry receives sufficient reason, when the ministry receives sufficient reason to believe that the rights of a Kenyan national could have been violated, the following are some of the measures we take. A consular officer undertakes a visit to the affected person to provide a report on the circumstances surrounding the matter. The ministry may also consider dispatching a diplomatic note to the concerned state's mission requesting to be furnished with information regarding the circumstances surrounding such violations. Where the evidence is overwhelming and no response is received from the host state, the ministry may issue a demarche where the highest ranking diplomatic representative, ambassador or high commissioner, or charge d'affaires is summoned by the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs and issued with a protest note requesting action. Similar action is undertaken through the Kenya mission in the capital of the country in question, where our ambassador or high commissioner or charge d'affaires presents the displeasure of the Kenyan government on the same and delivers a protest note. The ministry may also consider dispatching a special envoy or other high-ranking official from the capital to appeal or intervene with the host state. Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, sorry, I didn't realize there was a change. Mr. Speaker, let me also point out that we are yet to get the accurate data on the Kenyans who have died in detention. So that figure at this point in time is not available, but we'll be ready to avail it once we have the accurate figure on that particular aspect. Finally, there is the issue of the responses to safeguard dependents of property left behind by the deportees. I wish to state as follows. The ministry so far has no safeguards in place with regards to the dependents and property left behind by the deportees, since such property is governed by the laws of the host country. However, there are other channels available for pursuit of such as a follow-up with the authorities through diplomatic channels if such a matter is brought to the ministry's attention. Equally, where necessary, our missions abroad may pursue the matter through umbrella diaspora associations for knowledge of such cases and what steps could have been taken within the confines of the laws of the host country. Unfortunately, for some Kenyans, and in the advent of information and data protection, those who are arrested or are in conflict with the laws sometimes request prison authorities not to notify the embassy or any family members. Lastly, this is binding to the mission since it is in line with Article 36 of the Vienna Convention that requires consular services to refrain from taking action on behalf of the person in prison or detention or custody if such person expressly opposes such actions. The deportees, once verified to be Kenyan citizens, are released back into the country unconditionally. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Cabinet Secretary. Senator Ojienda, one supplementary question, if you have, because we really don't have time. We're running out of time.